We've all experienced those nights when we lay in bed trying to sleep, but our thoughts just won't stop. They're running wild, worrying about what might happen tomorrow, or excited about the movie you just watched. Going to bed, or living in general with a mind that feels out of control, is an uncomfortable and draining experience. However, much of what you've been told about thoughts might not be true. In this video, I'll share what I learned as a former Buddhist monk. It will completely change how you approach your mind and help you experience how thoughts arise and how to work with them instead of against them. But first, we need to look at where our thoughts come from. In late 2009, I meditated at a meditation center up in the mountains of Sri Lanka. While I was in a state of complete calmness, I suddenly heard a sound that resembled a nail dropping on the floor. It caused a shudder through my body, and my mind immediately started analyzing the situation. I started thinking about the sound, whether it was a nail or a small metal rod that fell, and if someone had dropped it, or if it had fallen from the wall. My mind wanted to know if it was something I needed to take action on or investigate further. These thoughts were not generated by me. Instead, the sound I heard triggered memories and interpretations, causing my mind to produce various theories and solutions, even if I did not want them at that moment. As you may have experienced during meditation, thoughts arise from the stimulation of one or more of our senses. In Buddhism, the mind is even considered a separate sixth sense. Therefore, when we hear a sound, our mind interprets it based on our memories and generates a stream of related thoughts without any input from us. So how does this change our solution to the problem of handling our minds? Most people's approach to handling the mind is to learn how to control it. We strive to become masters of our minds, not the other way around. Although this seems like an obvious solution, there is an assumption in that approach that must be examined closely. When starting a meditation practice, many people focus on quieting their minds and exerting control over their thoughts. This is often because they feel overwhelmed by the constant stream of thoughts running through their heads, or because they believe that by mastering their thoughts, they can manifest the reality they desire. Many people then practice concentration meditation, focusing on their breath or another object of meditation. This helps calm the mind and slow the constant stream of thoughts. This calm state can even be accompanied by a pleasant sensation in the body that goes beyond what is considered normal in daily life. But once you stop focusing on your breathing, your mind will gradually or quickly become active again. The problem is that you may think you have complete control over your thoughts, but the truth is that you're simply limiting the amount of stimuli you expose your mind to. This results in your mind slowing down and making it easier to spit out thoughts in your desired direction. Imagine standing by a beautiful lake, watching the scenery reflect on it. Suddenly, you throw a pebble in the water. The ripples from the pebble will spread through the water, creating rings that will eventually calm down again. This is a helpful analogy to demonstrate how thoughts are made. When you close your eyes and focus on your breathing, you stand still by the lake and watch it calm down. But when you open your eyes and start moving in the world again, you throw pebbles into the water. Watching social media is like throwing a bucket of sand into the water, and watching the news is like throwing big stones that cause ripples throughout. The false assumption in all of this is that you can directly control your mind. This is not possible. Instead, you can influence your thought patterns by controlling the stimuli you expose yourself to and their amount. You might be thinking to yourself, I get it. I should live in a cave up in the Himalayas somewhere and just sit quietly focusing on my breath for the rest of my life. That way, I'll be sure to feel inner peace and fulfillment. Well, there is one more thing about this that will change your life forever if you learn to see it. The waves on the lake are not thoughts. Instead, They are something we believe to be our thoughts. Your perception problem is that you constantly try to view the world through a reflection in the lake, struggling to calm down the waves so that you can see clearly. Because we believe the reflection is our reality. We give access important to our thoughts. We assign them value, we identify with them, and attempt to comprehend their authenticity, falsehood, origin, and even alignment with higher consciousness. However, all these theories and ideas we generate are ultimately just more thoughts. Ignoring or suppressing our thoughts is ineffective for most people. It requires constant effort and provides little long-term benefit. When we try to, and later realize that we can't control our thoughts, we can also experience intense self-criticism and a feeling of failure. It's important to understand that our thoughts don't cause our emotional state. Instead, how we react to these thoughts, whether we resist or cling to them, causes us to suffer. While this may be difficult to accept, it's worth remembering when understanding our emotional experiences. Consider a past event that deeply upset you, such as a breakup or a betrayal by someone you trusted. At the time, the thought of, "They did this to me," caused immense pain and made it difficult to function. However, suppose you were to think the same thing today. In that case, it may just cause a slight twinge of discomfort or even gratitude, because now you realize that the experience led you to where you are today. Although the thought is the same, it no longer causes the same level of suffering. The key to understanding and resolving our problem is realizing that our thoughts are not the issue. Instead, the internal tension or pressure that arises in our bodies from our thoughts is what causes us suffering. I call these distortions, since they distort how we view the world. In Buddhism, they're called dukkha, or suffering. The solution to address distortions is to observe them directly and recognize that you are creating them. It's not necessary to suppress or express all the emotions you feel. Instead, you should allow yourself to fully experience them without resistance. By doing so, you'll realize that there is nothing to fear. You are the source of the tension and pressure causing your pain. When you can do this, you learn to lift your gaze up from the lake and realize that the world is already clear and present around you, regardless of what your thoughts may be running around in your mind. The world is always there, beautiful and splendid, this moment, simply by its existence. It is expected to feel confused and overwhelmed when first encountering new concepts. However, I have developed a method for dealing directly with the distortions we feel towards the world around us, which I call the distortion method. By watching this video, you can better understand the distortion method and how it can help you experience more joy and fulfillment.